everybody. David G, model citizen here. David Gerlitz is my name. If you don't remember me, I've been doing these podcasts about 13 times before this, and this is episode 14. We took a little holiday break because of everything that was going on in the vaping industry and the vaping community since probably around Thanksgiving to the first week in December of 2018. Many of us got pretty disgusted with the vaping industry's position that we were being put in by the FDA and by the anti-tobacco people and the anti-vaping people. And I'm pretty much over it. I'm at the age, we've just been talking about it before we opened up the airwaves, that I'm above the opinions that other people have of me anymore, which is a good place to be. And some of my younger colleagues here have a long time to go before that, so they have to behave themselves, and I don't. I don't have to. So bail money that Kevin Crowley has collected for me is now up to $17.41. Am I close?
That's right.
Okay, $17.41. So I'm able to do $17.41 worth of damage. Okay, and here's the damage we're going to put up tonight. The vaping industry is in deep shit. Okay, the vaping industry, I don't care who you listen to. If you listen to smoke-free radio, which I listen to quite a bit, I sometimes get tired of listening to the same old stuff that I bitch about every day of my life. So it's hard to, keep having my nose rubbed in what I have to face every day with my friends who are really, really close to me, and I see them struggling, and I see them worried about their futures, and I see what's happening with a corrupt government and the government that's now telling us that vaping is not safer than smoking, and the constant barrage of lies and misinformation that I get my information from my colleague, Mr. Kevin Crowley. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good to see you. You're always available when I need you because we have to put these programs together, as quickly as we possibly can because of the availability of people. And I want people to understand that this is not a show where I just get on there and bitch and complain and rant. If I can't educate, I don't want to do it. If my programs don't have value at the end of the night, then I don't want to do it. But I think we can offer you some information that will be of help to you in guiding you through this navigational landmine that we are in regarding the FDA and the new Surgeon General. And hopefully my friend Kevin Crowley will fill us in tonight on what's been happening. Because to be honest with you, I've been overwhelmed with all the crap that's happening in the government with the shutdown and with immigration and the wall. And, of course, my friends in government like Dickie Blumenthal and Sherrod Brown and Dickie Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. I'm not even talking about these are the people doing the wall shit. These are the people that I've been fighting for the last 10 to 15 years on the smoking and the vaping thing. Yeah. And I've worked with these people. And then today you hear about Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro up in Connecticut that she's now introducing a new bill, H.R. 293, that's going to mandate that vaping become a tobacco product nationally. And she's just forcing everybody to regurgitate on more lies. And I've had to watch this for the last 3 months play out, even before the stock market took a big nosedive, and immigration and the caravan of people coming in from Honduras, and I just don't know where to go with this anymore, other than to say that we're shit out of luck here in this vaping industry if we don't get our act together. And right now we can't even get our act together because we can't get people to get along. So Kevin, let me just update you on what happened when you didn't hear from me for 2 weeks.
Oh, you were in Texas, weren't you?
I went to Austin, Texas on December 5th and 6th and 7th, and I got to hang out with an old friend of mine from high school who's with us tonight. Good evening, Jack Southwick.
Good evening.
But Jack's just going to be listening in tonight because he's an old guy like me. We went to high school together, if you can believe it, and we're still alive. We're still able to talk about it. We can still walk, but I've introduced my friend Jack Southwick to CBD for his knees because his knees are giving out just like my shoulders are and my hips are. So this is what you all have to look forward to,
That's
guys.
Right.
So I would say load up on Pinnacle CBD now. And start using it now, because I found it to be the best thing for me, but that's another story for another time. But I was in Austin, Texas, and I'm trying to kill some time here because we're trying to get Kevin Lacey from Pinnacle
He's
CBD.
Here.
Is he on the line, Kevin?
Yes.
Hey, young son, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Glad you could join us because I wanted to get you introduced tonight to this motley crew that I hang out with here. We have Jack Southwick in Texas from Fort Worth, and we have
Hi, Kevin.
and we
Hi.
got Steve
Cowboys
Mathis.
fan, I'm sure.
Yeah. Are you? He's an Eagles fan, aren't you, Jack?
No, I'm an Eagles fan.
That's what I said. You're an Eagles fan.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And you're a Dallas fan, though, right, Kevin Lacey?
Absolutely.
Okay,
All right,
I got to go now.
See you guys.
And but anyway, I was Kevin. I'm so glad you were able to get in tonight because this is going to be about Pinnacle and about Kevin Lacey and about our involvement together and what we're trying to do with the David G. Model Citizen podcast. Because we took 6 weeks off. Well, I took 6 weeks off because I was trying to figure out where the hell we were going to go with this. You know, horrible trail we were on with the vaping industry being, pushed back. We get 5 steps forward, we get knocked back 25 steps. And Kevin Lacey's got, he's kind of like an icon in the industry as well. He's got some vape shops and he's got the best CBD line out there and second to none. And we're going to talk about that tonight. But in the meantime, my rant tonight, and everybody knows it. I've talked to Kevin Lacey about it. I've talked to Kevin Crowley. I've talked to Steve, Jack. Jack was with me in Austin, Texas. When I got invited, here's what I wanted to start the program tonight so we can just get on it and then get off of it. I was invited to go down to SFATA conference, the SFATA, to go down there, and I was going to be a speaker. I wasn't supposed to be a speaker. I was just supposed to go down there and observe, and that I was offered the opportunity to come down there, and I have a lot of friends in this industry. So, yeah, I went. Shell Hamill invited me down, and my good friend Mark Anton, who's the executive director of SFATA, and they were going to have these conferences for 3 days. And so I went down. I said, sure. Well, when I was out in Las Vegas with Kevin Lacey, they have different issues and they have different, formats and they have different things, but they're all vying for the same dollars from the brick and mortar membership. So, and that's not my milieu. That's not what I do. Kevin Lacey will tell you that I'm not about that. I'm not a businessman. If I had to sell a nickel for or dime for a nickel, I'd be screwed. I can't do it. I'm not a salesperson. All I am is a person who has lived a life that's unique and different from anybody else's that I know regarding tobacco, regarding cessation, regarding kids, regarding gateway drugs, regarding, involvement with an industry that is so corrupt that I can't even see straight when I talk about it, which is why I'm so angry with what happened with the Juul thing. And then of course the blue with Imperial Tobacco, but I'm not going to spend my life being angry anymore. I'm done. I had the opportunity to talk to Kevin Lacey last week from Pinnacle because I do work with Kevin with the David G line of CBD, which I love. I use it every day and I tout it, and I'm going to spend my time pushing that all over the globe if I can. But my point is, when I went out to Vegas and I got to meet with Tony Abood from the VTA and then went to SFATA conference, and Jack came up from Fort Worth to visit us because I have some other projects that I'm working on with a couple of manufacturers. And lo and behold, my good friend Aaron Biebert was also going to be a speaker there in Austin, Texas. And he and I got reacquainted. We were on the same plane, actually, from Houston into Austin. And, we had our, hugs, and we had our visits and our conversations about our world travels a year and a half, 2 years before with 1 Billion Lives, which was somewhat successful. And unfortunately, he knows the mistakes that were made on his documentary, 1 Billion Lives. I know what mistakes were made. The world knows what mistakes were made, that only 2% of vapors saw it. And so his frustration is the fact that he had a great documentary that was informational. There's other things that he would have done differently in the future. And we got to talking about doing some things together and I'd work with Aaron anytime regarding the projects that I have to get my story out there that I still think is a viable story and it's an important story. And that's why I have this podcast. I have this podcast to get an audience, to educate. Kevin Lacey is all about education with CBD. He's also about awareness and all the bullshit that's going on now with this new CBD influx of all these new manufacturers and distributors. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. But I'm not going to rant and rave about the vaping industry. I'm going to do that in Oklahoma City on the 26th and 27th. I'll be out there with Pinnacle CBD. I'll be out there with the Vapors Carnival, where I'm on the advocacy panel with several other people who are coming in for the program. And I'm hopefully going to make this announcement that this will be my last advocacy program, only because I'm more of an activist than an advocate. And I've said this 100 times. Kevin Crowley, don't throw up when I say it again, because I know you hear it all the time. Advocacy, when defined, is trying to help people who can't help themselves. And right now, Kevin, I got to tell you, if a smoker doesn't know what is available as an alternative when they've seen 10 million other former smokers and some who are dual users, there's no question about it. But when they see 10 million people who no longer smoke, we don't need to educate them. They know. They just have to make the decision. And they're not going to make decisions to do something if they keep hearing the lies and the misinformation and the myths that are being touted by my enemies, which is American Cancer, American Lung, the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, and now, of course, Gottlieb and the FDA, and our new Surgeon General, Jerome. So tell me this a little bit, Kevin, what's happened in the last couple of weeks now with the vaping industry? Because I, to be honest with you, I haven't even looked. I didn't even want to look. I get nauseous when I have to look. I try to prepare for a show, and I try to get my notes together, and because right now, what I say, what I think, is usually got a different opinion from somebody else, and a lot of them are my friends. So I'm not going to argue with people anymore. I'm too tired and I'm too old for that. I'm just going to do what I can do, and that is find a product like CBD, spend my time getting people to use CBD as a protocol if they want to quit smoking. And even if they never smoked or never vaped, they still have this wonderful, wonderful wellness benefit of CBD, which we are getting more and more information on. But tell me a little bit about what's happened in the last 2 weeks so I can get up to speed, because I need you, Kevin. You're my, right hand, my left hand, sometimes you're my left nut,
I'll take it.
Okay. I just have to know what's going on in the last week or two so we can get off of this and then move on to something a little bit more positive.
Yeah, we've got Jerome Adams, Surgeon General, put out the numbers for the monitoring the future survey, which is Michigan takes that. Mm-hmm. He put 30-day use is a medical definition of an epidemic. So with that, he's got 30% with alcohol as an example. Cigarettes are supposed to be 7.6 monthly. Vaping is 26.7 monthly. Mm-hmm. So he's lying. It's fraud, in my opinion. If you can't ask with all these smart people in Michigan mm-hmm. that they can't get a 30-day, more than 30 days, more than a 20-day like the CDC did, right, then they're not very professional. Also, the comments on it, he went to his own Twitter page and was touting the 30-day thing, that was accurate enough. It's good enough for this. And some people ripped his butt about it, and I'm calling him fraud. He didn't answer me though. Mm.
Well, with that being said, you can't embarrass these people anymore. And I found that, many years ago when you started hearing the lies from not only, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Matt Myers and Cliff Douglas and Stanton Glances and all the other people that I really just can't stand. And, you can't even embarrass them. Stanton Glantz can sexually assault Eunice Neely and Jennifer Jackson and still get a $20 million grant from the FDA to do further studying at the University of San Francisco. So, these people aren't embarrassable. So that's why it's time for us to say what we say, put the information out there, the truth. And that's why I just started this conversation with you guys tonight. And that is that smokers know what's available as far as an option. They're just confused because the army for the vaping industry is not large enough to, combat all the lies. I mean, and I didn't even want to get into the Democrats and the Republicans versus the wall. And nope. We're just so distracted by everything that's going on. But every day, 1,200 people die from smoking. And that's what I hang my hat on. Every day, my life is going to be getting a smoker who needs that push. They don't need to be educated because all they got to do is look it up. Most of them have a computer. All they got to do is look it up. They can go to the truth. They can see the lies that are being spread. We talk about it enough, but we talk about it ad nauseum. And I think when you have somebody like Pinnacle okay, who has vape shops and they have stores, and they started out with the vaping industry, and they saw the kind of inaction that we were taking as an industry, because we had SAFADA and we had CASA and the AVA and the VTA and the NBS. And we had no uniformity. We had no army that was going together in strength and unison. So, thank God. I don't, and Kevin will tell you about CBD later in his personal testimony with CBD and why it is such a grand opportunity for people as a tobacco harm reduction protocol. When you quit smoking, you're probably, as a smoker, not healthy in other areas of your life. So, why not consider other options that are available that have been proven to be effective, not only by testimony, but by pure science. So, but getting back to my story so I can get off of the subject really quick, because I'm getting nauseous as I talk about it. Going down to Austin and having to pick and choose which side I was going to take. Was I going to take SAFADA side? And was I going to go over to the VTA cocktail hour and meet all my friends there? And, it was like, being a Union or a Yankee, and a soldier in the Civil War. I mean, which side do you pick? They're your friends and they're your family. And I hate what's happening there. And I know Kevin Lacey does as well. And Kevin, you have to write about it every week in your blog. And then you got a bystander like Jack Southwick, who quit smoking by vaping and didn't even know that I was involved in this. He just knows the benefits of what vaping can do for you. And now I got him hooked on the idea that maybe, some of his aches and pains that I have at my age, and he's my age because we graduated high school together, he knows the benefits of what CBD, and I gave him some of my flavored CBD, a David G line, and it's working for him. And we don't have to beg people to believe us. And the proof is in our actions and what we follow it up with. And that is, I'm not going to live my life every day without taking the CBD that I take every day, about 25 milligrams a day or 20 whatever I feel like. And it's working for me. And I don't vape as much anymore. I'm not going to lie to anybody. When I quit smoking a long time ago, I quit before vaping was even around or even invented. So I certainly wasn't going to start vaping again just so I could say I vape for shits and giggles, and I want people to be able to carry on a conversation and say, what are you doing? That creates a narrative, and that's okay. I could do that with zero nicotine. But with the CBD, I'm very, very positive about CBD. I'm very positive, but I'm afraid, and I think that Kevin's probably going to feel the same. Kevin Lacey, that is going to feel the same burden, and that is, are we going to have the same thing happening with all these young entrepreneurs coming out there thinking, well, now I can make CBD and I can get rich off of that. So we have to be very careful as to how we approach the CBD and don't make a parallel to the vaping industry. And the vaping industry has not proven to me that they're capable of withstanding the storm, the perfect storm. And the perfect storm is only big pharmaceuticals, big government coming together, apparently bulletproof, because now they can just buy Juul for, 13 billion. And by the end of 2019, they'll probably have another 60%, leaving 5% because they can't sell the whole Juul company for 35 billion until they do the audit, which is going to take all of 2019. And by then 2020 is going to come around. And that's when the PMTA for vaping is going to be readjusted from 2022 to 2020. That's my next prediction. Okay. Yeah. So my prediction for Juul being sold by the end of 2018 came true for 13 to 14 billion dollars. And it was just worked out to where they only took 35%, but because they can't take it all right up the top without being audited and, so much money being, at risk. So I just think that right now, this podcast that I want to do, and as far as being informational, being educational, being informative, to where people can understand that the protocols of what you hear. Hopefully CBD will be the redheaded stepchild because everybody's so focused on the FDA and the vaping industry, and they're trying to decimate it. They're trying to, ban flavors globally, or at least in the U.S. and in cities in California. And now it's happening in New York, and all these bills being introduced so people can grandstand and have their own name out there. So, I asked you a question, Kevin, and I didn't shut up long enough for you to answer. So forgive me because I get on a tear here. But what is going on this week besides the Surgeon General? We know that he's being just a puppet for Gottlieb. Okay.
It is.
What do you see happening in the next 3 to 6 months with the vaping industry, with the PMTA, with the changes? Are they going to come down on the flavor bans? You see it more than I do because you watch it 24/7.
Gottlieb has really been clear on the bad word jewel and the convenience stores. He's not hitting on, and he's very clear about it, in my opinion, that he's not hitting against the vape shops. He's still hitting the flavors. So is the Surgeon General. But they're manipulating it for the public to see everything, because now they got in my lifetime, I don't remember it, but in my lifetime there were cigarette commercials when I was born in '67, and now there's Juul. I've heard it on the radio 50 times in the past week. I guess it's going to be on TV.
Right.
That will bring curiosity to smokers who may walk into a shop, a standalone shop, and that's a good thing, because, hey, do you have the Juul? No, we don't, but we have these, and they may get some sales.
Right.
But I don't know about the PMTA. If it's, I think it's going to be moved as well.
It's going to be. There's no
boards.
doubt about it. It's not going to happen in 2019 because there'll be so many lawsuits levied against, the FDA that would make their head spin. But 2020 is doable, and everybody I've talked to who's anybody in the vaping industry feels the same way. But that's not a fight that I want to be in. Okay, I can't fight that. I'm only one guy, and my energy level has got to be on taking a smoker who's not well, who's feeling crappy, who wants to quit. Vaping's available. Here's the information. If you want to try it, fine. But at the same time, why not try other things that's going to enhance the quality of your life? Like I know CBD does, because CBD, and I know people like Big Ramsey will disagree with me, and he'll say that, vaping and CBD don't go together, and CBD shouldn't be in, yeah, it should, because when, like I said, smokers, when they do quit, they're not healthy in other areas of their life. And I am a true testament to that. And I can tell you for a fact that I am now on the CBD only. I take no pain meds from 3 and 4 cervical spine surgeries, 3 major surgeries, 2 laminectomies and RFAs, which is radial, frequency ablations, and then I had shoulder replacement. I don't have to take any pain meds anymore. And that's been from the time I started using CBD. And the CBD that worked for me was Pinnacle. And that's why Pinnacle and I came together, as far as a team, using my name and his quality of products and putting my name on something that I can maybe be the hook that people will give it a shot because of my reputation. And I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to sell out and rant and bitch and scream and become this compulsive idiot on YouTube, like we had with, Ian Ferguson. I guess you all saw that this past week, with that anti-Trump guy in this vape shop down in Tucker, Georgia. And that gets 2.5 million views.
That's correct.
And we can't get 2 million people to go see a documentary called A Billion Lives, because everybody's busy, but they'll sit there and watch this lunatic rant and rave and Ian Ferguson, this new YouTube sensation, So I think we have to change our approach to things. And I know that the only way I can do this is by telling the truth. And the truth of the matter is I care about vaping. I believe in the concept. And I know, Kevin Crowley, you do as well. And I know that you've got to get this information out. But at what point do we say, hey, here's the information. I don't know what else you want us to do. You've got to give it a shot. You've got to give it a fair shot. And the fair shot has got to be consistency. You got to try vaping, find the right hardware, find the right flavor that you like. If it's coffee or tobacco, or if it's coconut, if it's berry, whatever works for you. But chances are smokers are not going to jump from quitting smoking to go to rainbow sherbet. So we've got to give them alternatives. And I think that the stores right now are so frustrated. They're so worried about, coming up and rebranding, and they got to do this, they got to do that. And how are they going to handle the PMTA next year instead of 2022? So I think at this point, a podcast that I do and the people I surround myself with who are smarter than I am, all I can do is learn from them. And that's why, Kevin, you've got to keep doing what you do, because that's the only way we're going to be ahead of the storm, ahead of the perfect storm, which they have created with the campaign for tobacco-free kids. And then you got people, who take this information and they run with it, like Kevin Lacey. So at this time, I would like to bring in Kevin Lacey. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Kevin Lacey, my buddy. It's been about a year that Kevin and I first met. He flew me out to Joplin, Missouri, colder than a mother-in-law's kiss, as I recall. was pretty chilly out there. I need you to straighten some things out for me because CBD for me is new. I know it's not new for you. And I know people have heard your story about how you got involved because of your daughter, Mackenzie, and what a wonderful opportunity you had to try to find something that was going to make her well. So you and I, Kevin, we have a connection, and the connection that we have is pure. It's true. And I think that what you have learned from me and my story, that is, I don't give up. Okay. I may not do the right. It's like, I don't know how to define what I do. It's like porn. I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it, you know, and all I can tell you is I do know what CBD, your line of CBD has done for me, even before we did the flavors of the David G line. So could you give me some ideas as to where the hell we are now with the new farm bill that just passed last month? And you were excited about it. I know I am, but we're still confused. Why is the federal government still saying that we can't have CBD available in all states? Would you please make that clear for our listeners?
Well, so federally, they removed it from a controlled substance basically to a commodity. So now hemp is in a category that's similar to, corn or soy or something like that. But we all had an exciting like 15, 20 minutes of everything's awesome. And then Gottlieb came in and had to have his statement with everything saying, the FDA's involvement. But we were pretty much anticipating that. It was actually almost, I don't know. I was a little relieved because rather than having to be fighting for legal status and all these things, now it's more of the FDA coming in and setting hopefully some pretty decent regulations that people will be able to abide by, and it won't be a situation. We're hoping it won't be a situation that is what has happened with vaping. It should be something that is looked at as more of a kind of a supplement style regulations. It's going to remove a lot of, being able to say any kind of medical claim, of course, but at least it'll give us a path to go down and be able to not have to worry about raids and whether or not a product is legal. Now, as far as state level, what happened was really at a federal level. And I think in time, there's a lot of areas, whether it's state government, credit card processing, insurance companies, a lot of those other sectors will start to realize that, okay, well now the farm bill has gone through, hemp is now considered a commodity, and we'll be able to allow those things and not be really high card processing, not be able to insure certain items because it's made with hemp. And
So
states will start
Kevin, is it my misunderstanding that federally it does not trump state laws? I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have, that if federal comes out and says that it's no longer a narcotic or it's a scheduled type drug, can the state continue to live by that? Alabama changed almost immediately, right? Right after the Farm Bill was passed.
Yes. Yeah, I was really shocked about Alabama and super excited because that's one we've definitely had a lot of action in and tried to really get a lot of things changed, and didn't seem like there was a lot of hope in sight, but they pretty much turned over almost immediately. I I am in no way, shape, or form the guy to be asking about government, but from my understanding, yes, federal trumps state. However, states are still allowed to have their own laws, so then they can create certain things that don't necessarily make it illegal, but you have to go through different channels.
Like
And I
Ohio,
know
would
there's,
that be one that we could talk about? Ohio is one of those states that doesn't want to change.
yeah, Ohio and California, both of them are really trying to tie it into their medical marijuana program. So we're really hoping now that um, the Farm Bill has gone through that people will start realizing that this is two separate plants. It needs to be treated completely separate. Um, you have one of them on the controlled substance list, and you have one of them that's considered a commodity. So we're hoping as time goes by, government's not super fast acting. That's why I
No
said we
shit.
were blown away by Alabama.
Right.
So hopefully they're having some meetings now, and it was the holidays, so nobody's probably even back to work yet. But hopefully they'll start getting together and go, okay, well, we need to at least figure out a way to separate this or do something different and not be tying it to their marijuana programs.
Well, as a CEO of a CBD company and also, being able to go global, with all of the talk about CBD and obviously I'm confused and you've been in this for a lot longer and you've got personal experience with Mackenzie, your daughter, and the benefits of what you have. So you're a believer. But what about the states right now that are still on the edge and they're still, not making decisions and people are still afraid to buy or try? What can we do to educate some of these legislators, or do we want to even be involved or let the hemp associations take care of that like we were trying to do with the VTA, in the vaping industry?
Well, I think there are some really good associations in the hemp industry that have been able to get a lot done. I know Kentucky, the Hemp Roundtable is headquartered there, and what they've been able to do for hemp farming, they are putting out kind of a master plan that can go to different states, and the farming regulations could be kind of universal across all the states. They're also working on some programs that would kind of set some standards as far as manufacturing and cultivation and all that, that would also bring kind of a unison to all the states, because the fear right now is feds say it's okay, states start putting in laws. We don't want it to get to a point where, Indiana's got a certain QR code requirement for them, but
Right.
then you move to another state and they have a different QR code issue or some other random label concern, and then we end up with companies that are having to send out 50 different products depending on which state they're going to. So they're trying to create some kind of either organization that can kind of self-regulate, and maybe the FDA will ease up and hand that power off to, like, similar to the alcohol industry. But creating some type of unified regulations that can create everybody kind of doing the same thing and not having to worry about each state having a different law and different labels and all of that.
Yeah, I remember going to some of the shows that we were at, and I've done a lot of shows with you and Pinnacle, as well as Vapes Gone Wild with my liquid and advocacy. Because I do advocacy every show I go to, and I think that's winding down after Oklahoma City. I'll do activism, but I'm not going to do the advocacy portion and try to compete with people like Dr. Siegel, and other people who bring in all this data and all this information that to me is just boring stuff, which is important, but people aren't listening to it because a lot of people just don't care. Do you see are there any podcasts or any informational guidelines that you follow other than Kentucky, Hemp Roundtable? Or are there any podcasts out there that, we can maybe align ourselves with as far as getting people educated to get people on a proper track to talk to their legislators? Or should we just stay away from that and let the other associations do it? I need your opinion on that, Kevin, since you're more involved than I am. I'm just curious.
Hempsupporter.com is the one that I'm probably the most familiar with. I definitely won't say that they're the only ones. They're just ones that we've been in contact with the most, and their site is super easy.
What's it called?
Pretty
Hempsupporter.com?
Yep. and I mean, their ability to fill out the forms for you are amazing. I mean, it's at the point where you pretty much just enter your name, press enter, and it sends it to your local congressman, to your state level, to federal level. It does everything for you, so you don't have to worry about how much effort this is going to take. It's super easy. They keep everybody pretty up to date as far as changes coming in at state level or federal level.
You talked about those 15 minutes of celebration after the Farm Bill passed and it was signed, and it was a great time. And then Gottlieb and the FDA got involved. He made his announcement and sent letters out as to what's going to happen. Did you not notice, like I did at the Las Vegas show, that all these newbies that came in all of a sudden in anticipation of it passing, and I know you said you're not too concerned about it as far as it turning out to be more of the same with the vaping, where everybody and their brother just starts, making CBD, and, finding ways to distribute it. I mean, how can we stay ahead of that? Or should we not even worry about it? Should we just think that, it's legislatively, it's going to self-regulate itself and people are going to behave themselves, which is a ridiculous, assumption to make.
Hmm. I mean,
have you seen an increase in CBD companies in the last 3 months or 6 months?
absolutely.
Because I know how you feel about people lying, and I know how you feel about doing interviews and reading magazines. I was on the cover of the first CBD magazine back in, I guess, November, and I was fortunate enough to be on the cover because of who I am and having been the former Winston guy. And now I'm very, very involved in CBD, and I want to get even more involved on a regular basis with my team of people, that we can educate people, because that's what this is about. It's not just about me, it's about educating people. And I know that you and I have this common ground, and that is we don't like misinformation being put out there. And I know that you're asked all the time about CBD because you're so knowledgeable on it. And I know you don't know it all, but I know you sure as hell know a lot more than some of these young kids who are now getting into CBD because they've been able to fill out a form, and then more information about, full spectrum versus isolate versus broad spectrum. And, nobody knows more about it than you do. So I think that a podcast, an educational format, is important that we do once a week. And then you send me to people that I can bring on the program so we can educate from, your hand picking of who these people can be trusted, because we don't certainly want to be guilty by association and doing the exact same thing as, peddling misinformation, because I won't do interviews on CBD magazines anymore that has to do with, but they're popping up all over the place. I had 5 requests in the last 2 or 3 weeks to do an article on CBD. No, I'm not the expert. I'm not the one to talk to. I use it. I like it. I have my flavors that I like. I use Pinnacle only. I use full spectrum only. I use the other products that you have available, as far as the coffee, and my dog Farley, who's addicted to CBD treats, and I will push like hell to get them into the market. But at this point, I don't want to turn my programs and my educational into something where it's just a show. I don't want to have 25 different sponsors and have commercials. I just want to do what the vaping industry didn't do, and that is to educate, inform, and keep the cause real. And that is to help people get better and help people feel better and to help people get off of cigarettes and all the same crap that we hear day after day. I want to make sure that whatever I do is going to be of value, to Pinnacle. It's going to be of value to the people listening to it, to the people who, and they can use whatever CBD they want, but CBD has got to have a regulation. It's got to have reasonable regulation to know what you're putting into your body. And it can't be, sold down the line because some young person thinks that they can make a ton of money selling CBD. They don't know what they're talking about. And I know how strongly you feel about that. So I think it's important that we do a podcast or do some sort of an educational program. And I know I got writers calling me, and, Tony and several other people wanting to know what's happening with CBD. Well, hey, I got to learn too, and we got to watch the market. We got to watch the government. We got to watch the FDA. We got to behave ourselves. And I know that is a value to you, Kevin. I know that you've got to do it because you've got your lifeline, in this. You got your whole family involved in this business, and you're doing very well. And you command respect because of who you are. So I think, and it's obvious. I mean, because people know who you are already, and you are sponsors to these shows to where you can go out there and present the products and customer service that's second to none to everybody. So that's why I think it's important that the tie-in between vaping and CBD, be a part of who I am, and it has been for the last year. And it's been a great year for me to be able to learn and watch. But I have so much to learn. And I know you're growing. Tell us a little bit about your products. What do you have? Of course, your natural CBD. And can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we've got um, several different products. We've got our gold bottle, which is the all natural. It's kind of designed to do several different delivery methods, whether it's going to be used for sublingual. Some people are adding it to e-liquids and vaping it. We got a lot of customers who add it to food and drinks, and some that are even putting it, mixing it in with lotions to create a topical product out of it.
Right.
So in the beginning of using CBD, you really need to try different delivery methods. So the idea behind it was people would be able to try these different ways with one bottle rather than having to buy 4 or 5 different products. Um, we infuse quite a few items, gummies and honey. We got Farley's dog treats. We got those.
Yep.
Um, and then we've got some skincare stuff, a lotion, some beard oils. We've also got a few more directed at vaping products like a cartridge,
What do you
crumble.
call it? You call it distillate or distillate?
Yeah, the oil used in the cartridges is a distillate.
Distillate. All right. And are you coming up with testimonials for people to see which is better for other people? Or because I don't know, I only do the CBD. I put it under my tongue. Several drops in the morning, several drops at night. I use my own David G line, of course, which I like because I like the coffee and I like the berry, and that's what I don't brush my teeth until after I do my CBD, and I don't start my day without it. And that's just in a year that I've been using it, and I tried them all. But of course, Farley, and I jokingly tell you that Farley is addicted to it. He's not addicted to it, but he loves it, and he knows he's getting it. And he expects it, and he's a big dog. He's a 158-pound bull mastiff whose joints at 7 are already aching because he's a big dog and he carries a lot of weight around. So, but the things that are available as far as the growth phenomenon of CBD that you've seen, the explosion, because you're in the industry and have been since what, 2013?
No,
14?
we really got rolling in 15, but
15.
we were kind of in the mix at 14.
Okay, well that's why when you and I started this podcast, Pinnacle was always my go-to people to say, hey, and I wanted Jessica on the show with me because I wanted to get things going, because then we had to wait for the Farm Bill, and then the Farm Bill got extended, and then we had the FDA, and then we had the Juul, and then we had, blah, 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 blah. So I just got so overwhelmed with talking negative about something I felt very positive about. So I had a real issue. And the real issue I had was I'm not going to do any documentaries. I'm not going to do any projects that's going to, impede on my positive attitude toward my good health, because I have COPD. I have emphysema. I have lung issues. I'm 69 years old. I have things going on in my life that I need to benefit from wellness things. I don't take Oxycontin anymore. I don't take Flexeril. I don't take gabapentin. I don't take, my own pain management doctor is now selling CBD out of his office because the explosion of this alternative supplement that people can use because it does work. That's what we need to get out. And I know you're expanding your sales force, Kevin, and I want Kevin Crowley because he's getting older, right, Kevin? You're now what, 45?
Yeah, 51.
51. Okay. You get ready for it. You need it too, because your body's going to start shutting down, pal, just like mine did. But I'll tell you what, Kevin Lacey, you're my go-to guy for this. And I know that I'm slow out the gate because I make sure that my ducks are in a row before I make any decision to do anything. But the best decision I made last year was to fly out to Missouri, sit down with you and your family and have a good time, and then become a part of the, Pinnacle family. And now I've seen you grow, and I want to do so much more, and I'm ready and I'm willing and able, but I'm not going to spend my time being negative in the vaping industry that is imploding, and I see it and I say it every day. And every friend that I have who's in charge of a group, whether it be Greg Conley from the AVA, or whether it be Mark Anton from Safada, or Tony Abood, or, forget, I don't even want to mention the other guy, NBS. You can mention him, Kevin Crowley. I don't mention him. He hates my guts, but that's okay. Some people are allowed to hate me, but I'm just telling you that we need something out there for the people to have a good handle on where to go to get information, whether it be in a podcast. And I know Tony Manelli wants to work with us. He wants to work with me on a couple projects I'm doing. I know that he's really good in writing, different articles, but I'm seeing more articles being written, as you know, Kevin Lacey, that the articles are just full of misinformation already. And we're only like 3 or 4 months into it. So what do we do? What's your recommendation? That we don't not talk to any magazines right away until they get their act together and figure out what they're trying to do? Because everybody's trying to make a buck, and selling their advertising.
No, I definitely don't say sit back. I think now's the time to get in there and help some of them learn. Most of them, they're getting fed information kind of in the wrong way. It's basically a glorified sales pitch, and so
Right.
I don't put any blame on some of those people just because they can only as they're receiving information in, it may be bad, but it's hard to actually go and fact check all this stuff for the average person. So I definitely think it's time to step in, talk to them, let them know some of the differences, and try and get some education out there. And I
Mm-hmm.
think you'll see a lot more coming down the pipe from some outside sources that are putting out some good education and teaching things in a way that um, are beneficial to everybody without having to be either sales pitchy or incredibly misleading.
Right. Because everybody that I've met, as soon as when I go to your booth and I wear my green jacket, if I remember to bring it,
Yeah.
and if I remember to bring it, or I'll wear my cactus outfit and I'll make a horse's ass of myself. I don't really care. But I'm just telling you, Kevin, a lot of people I talk to, and because I don't know as much about this, and I learn, I read, I say, but I'm getting misinformation that's not making any sense to me. And I don't want to bother you with it, because I know that you're the source to go to as far as getting questions asked. But I got thousands of questions. But now you got these magazines that are all popping up. And I don't know how I made the cover of CBD magazine, other than because I don't know that much about it, but I use it. So why didn't I capitalize on it? And there wasn't even an article written about it. It was just me on the cover, but there was no story about my my history with using it for my neck injuries and my cervical spine surgery and my shoulder. So, these are things that I want to make sure that when we start it, we do it the right way, so we don't fall into the same traps that we have in the last 5 or 6 years with the vaping industry. I want to get off on the ground running fast and furious, but on a straight course. So we're gonna continue to do this podcast, and I would love your recommendations on how to best do it. Once a week, twice a week. I'll do it 3 times a week, but we need the sources of information, and that's why I want to talk to the people that are in the hemp associations, to be of value to them as well as value to myself and the Pinnacle. So, because along with that goes my strong mantra, and that is, if people quit smoking, they're not healthy in other areas. So why not try a new protocol that's going to help you in that transition from quitting to vaping, or quitting or never smoking at all? Because a lot of people think, well, I can only use CBD if I used to smoke. No, this is for people who has any issues, health-wise, whether it be PTSD, or whether it be fibromyalgia, or whether it be stress, or whether it be overweight. There's so many benefits to this. And every day I read a new story about how, CBD, is such a great product for people as long as it's handled properly. But I see very quickly all the articles in the newspapers that CBD is going to be a $400 billion industry by 2025. And CBD is going to be a $420 billion industry. So get involved and stuff. Venture capitalists are looking into. I just don't want the same thing to happen to a product because the government, knowing how they are, is going to want it their big piece of the action and then control it. So I guess I'm just trying to be proactive. And I want to make sure that when I do a podcast, the David G. Model Citizen podcast, it's based on who I am. And who I am is just a nobody who got lucky. I was the Winston man from 1981 to 88. And now at 69 years of age, I'm walking around with COPD and emphysema, and I lost a brother to cancer. And, we see it every day. So, my passion is real. And Aaron Biebert from A Billion Lives knows that my passion is real. And I know there's other manufacturers who want me to do other projects, but I'm not going to do it if it doesn't have value. And everything I do has to have value. Working with Kevin Crowley, who's listened to me drone on for the last year and a half about what I'm going to do, what I want to do, what I need to do, what I have to do. It's only going to come out if I have the vehicle to do it. And the only way I'm going to have that vehicle is to have the support of people like you, Kevin, who's got a great product, menu, and you've got a great customer service orientation. You got a great quality of information that's available at your fingertips because you're smarter than I am on it. So I think together I'd like my team that I work with to understand that I'm not doing this for any other reason other than to get information to the people who need it the most. Because I know it works for me, and I know I quit smoking a long time ago, and I don't need to vape anymore. And if people want to quit vaping after they quit smoking, that they can do that too. So all I can tell you is that I need to get information out there in the form of some sort of an educational force. I've been asked to do a program for youth prevention of vaping, and schools won't touch anything from, Foundation for a Smoke-Free World because they're funded by Philip Morris International. So they won't touch that. So I can't be involved with people like that who have good intentions, but their intentions are based on getting funded by people who are suspicious and questionable. So I've always backed up, and I've always stayed away from things that are going to put me back in that corner, like the Von Earl thing, selling to Blue, to Imperial Tobacco. And now I have to go to a show where Blue is going to be a heavy sponsor. And I know that Juul is going to be there. And I have my own, interpretation of what Juul has done in the industry, even though it may be, albeit non-intentional. But I do know the people that own Juul, and I know what's going on, and I know the industry, and I know the people I dislike, and I know the people I care about. So I think a podcast and an informational program, not just talk radio where we're just selling ads all the time. I want to give information like we're doing tonight, and that is to take somebody who knows about CBD, break it down, give us a educational from kindergarten to high school to college to graduate school down the road, so people, when they are ready, they have a full knowledge of what they're getting involved in. So Kevin Crowley has always been my right hand on this. He's been with me from the get-go, and I got Steve and Jack now to help me get this information out there technically because I'm stupid when it comes to that. But I think together we can do something with Tony Adamanelli and my friend who's a great writer, and you, Kevin Lacey, who's got a great source of information and great products to back up what we are saying to be true with testimonies. And you got a great team of people that I love working with. So I think that's what I want to set forth tonight. I want to put it out there that this is what we would like to do. And any information that can come from our listeners, whoever's listening, that we do something that's going to be of value to the people who need it the most. And that's all I want to do, guys. And Kevin Crowley, are you in?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've
No
been
question.
in, you've been in,
Nope.
and Steve, I know that you are good at what you do, and Jack Southwick, you're a newbie to the team, but you know me. Jack and I go back to high school together, and that was 50 some years ago, and he's done really at least 50, and our paths
least.
reconnected. So I think things happen for a reason. But Kevin Lacey, I can tell you this from my lips to your ears, that you were the best thing that happened to me this year in 2018, you and your family, and you know how I feel about you. And I want to continue to do good things that are going to be quality and not just negative venting and bitching and complaining all the time. I want to do something positive that's going to help your team reach the goals that you have. So you have an opportunity, Kevin Lacey, and that is to offer these products that are quality, and they have been proven to be tested and tried, and they do what they're supposed to do. And I keep saying it all the time. And I just can't thank you enough. So you need to think about this, Lacey. Okay. And you need, I know you're busy and I know you're growing and I know you got a new team of people coming in, but I think that we could do something together on a continuous basis globally to where I think your products are second to none as far as, proven to be not only accepted in the CBD community, but you were pioneers. You were there before anybody else came out. So maybe a few others were there with you, but we're not going to play games. We're going to do what we set out to do, and that is to educate, inform, teach, and let people, be directed to the people that are going to give them the best information to help them get better and enhance their life. You have anything to say, Lacey?
No, I'm right there with you. I'm more than happy. Let's get some education out there and figure out how often we can do the podcast and what we can.
I can do it every day. I mean, I could do this every day. We could YouTube it. We could iTunes it. I could go on Acorn TV. I could go on Amazon Fire TV. I can go on Apple. I can go on Roku. I can go on Fandor. I can go on Mubi. I can go on any place you want me to go. I just have to. Well, you have to learn that. You have to understand that, and in the last 6 weeks of me being quiet, I've been learning and I've been reading and I've been trying to understand where this needs to go before I do any documentary, before I do any other production piece that's going to have value, because I'm not going to do it until I prove to myself and the people that I care about know that I have value. And the value is in who I am and who I was and what I've tried to do with my life. So, but fortunately, I've got a team of people I work with that are going to help me stay on that track. And, Jack came down to hear me speak. I wasn't even supposed to speak at the Safada conference. I was brought in as an afterthought. That's me. Sorry, Kevin Crowley, but I'm the redheaded stepchild. You're good. Okay. They bring out at the parties, and I went down there and then I was asked to speak. Then I showed a film that I did, 25 years ago about, smoking prevention with teens. And now I got people wanting me to do the, smoking or vaping prevention for schools, but it can't be affiliated with people who are getting money from tobacco. So
I'm going to interject with you, Dave. You put a video up that people didn't even know you had done 30 years ago.
Right. Yeah. It's called Behind the Smoke Screen. And I ran it and it was me, 25 years ago or whatever it was. And the people at Safada said, I didn't even know you had, and they wanted to copy it. And I said, well, I've been leaving crumbs for 30 years. Tony Abood, who met me in Las Vegas for the first time. I've been around for how many years? And Tony Abood said, we need to use you more. Well, you think, this is what I've been trying to do. How about calling me? I'm in the book.
If I can find you, anybody.
I'm so tired of people's excuses, and VTA is probably going to be the organization that's going to, take on most of the brick and mortars and memberships. And now you got people who are signing, which is fine. I don't care. This is not my world where I have to control everything. All I want to control is how I get people well, get people better, help people feel good, help find them the right products that's going to meet their needs. And I think Pinnacle has the right products to meet their needs. I think my line of e-liquid for vaping is the best line for people who want to quit smoking. It's a tobacco flavor, it's a coffee flavor, and it's a subtle fruit flavor, because people, when they quit smoking, don't want to jump into rainbow sherbet. They want something that relates to tobacco, but they hate tobacco, so they want coffee. So, I've done everything that I possibly can to think these things through. But unfortunately, I always get into something when the shit hits the fan. But right now, the CBD market is the place to be for me, because I know the benefits it has done for me in the last 14 months, and I was using CBD, and I was using Pinnacle before I even went out to Joplin, Missouri with Kevin and Jessica Lacey and went to their shop. I was using it because I found it to be the best, because I didn't know what an isolate was versus a broad spectrum versus a full spectrum. It could have bit me in the ass and I wouldn't know what it is. But I learned quickly that I've got to open up my mind to what products are best for the right problems that you're having. So I think that when we tie the two together, there is a connection. There is a parallel between CBD and quitting smoking. There is a parallel to getting better in all areas of your life. So I'm going to do what I have to do, whether it be in a podcast, whether it be in a production of a documentary of my story, or whether it be in a weekly series of education that Kevin Lacey can hook me up with people at the hemp associations that he may or may not know that I can call up and I can schmooze and say, hey, who do you have that can come on my show? If we could do a CBD 101, CBD 102, CBD 103, talk about what this does, what that does, educate me at the same time, because I think that's how we all learn. And I don't learn if I'm forced to learn. I learn because I want to listen. And then when I want to listen, it's because I'm ready to listen. And I think we need to get people ready to listen, not with bitching, ranting, raving, with the scream fests that we see on YouTube every day and the social media where somebody's screaming at somebody else and that's getting 2.2 million views because some lady is now bitching because she didn't get fries with her burger, and people want that shit. I don't want that. I want to do something that's going to help people. And Kevin Crowley, you've got the background information. You got my bibliography. You've got the information in your library. I've got a tech team that can help me because I'm stupid when it comes to technology. And I also got a CEO of a company that makes a product and has access to products that are going to help people live longer. It's a win, 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 win. So I'm ready, Kevin Lacey. I'm ready to do my bidding. You've held on to me for a year. You've given me that opportunity to prove myself. And now it's time to, get off the pot, and do what I have to do without being negative all the time. So that's where we're at tonight, guys. Kevin Lacey, you're going to be available to me and you're going to offer me some help with this podcast. Let me know what you think we should do with it and how we should run with it and how we advertise it and how we market it and how we get some of your team members who are pretty good at what they do. And whether it be Michael or whether it be Artie or whether it be AJ, you got a great team of people that I want to work with and I want to learn from. And I want to get this information out to people outside of my little circle. All right.
That sounds awesome. And you'll be down here soon. So we'll have
I'll be
lots of
down
time
where?
to hang up in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
They've got jails
Yes,
there.
I'll be there in Oklahoma. I come in. I told you I'll be there in the morning on Friday, and you and I can hang out, and I can put up with the abuse that I get because I have to go take a nap.
Oh my gosh, abuse! Really?
And can you get me something to eat other than pizza, please? I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to.
Well, we're on the keto diet, so you can hop on that with us real quick.
Oh, and don't get me started on kratom because I'm ready to do that. My colon has healed and I got my diverticulitis under control, so I'm ready for kratom too. So that's another story. But guys, listen, I want to wrap this up tonight because I don't think people like to listen to anything more than an hour. I was going to keep this at 45 minutes, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to commit to you guys to tell you and let you know, Kevin, I'm in this for the long haul, whether you like it or not. Whether you need me or not, I'm there for the long haul. Kevin Crowley, you're not going anywhere. Jack Southwick, I need you and your technical wizardry, in Texas. And Steve Mathis, you need to, understand that, you are more important than you'll ever know, even though you are only 27 freaking years old. Okay. There's a lot to learn in this whole team of things, but I will announce to you that I am involved with some production of a documentary. I am working with hopefully Aaron Biebert again. I know he's doing his own documentary, but he's going to be very helpful in what I'm trying to do. If I do it, I still haven't made up my mind yet because I'm still putting things together. But Kevin and Lacey and I are going to be talking about some things, and Crowley and Mathis and Jack Southwick, you're going to be an integral part of this. If you want to be.
I'm here.
Okay, so just be prepared for getting this out there because we're going to have to hit all the mediums. We're going to have to hit YouTube. We're going to have to hit iTunes. We're going to have to get all the things that I mentioned with Mubi and Fandor and Amazon Fire. These are things you got to teach me. But more importantly, I'm more interested in learning about CBD and the benefits of what it can do to help people live longer. So with that being said, I want to thank all my guests tonight. Kevin Lacey, I know this is last minute for everybody. I'm glad we were able to hook up computer-wise. We're going to go live with videos sometimes. We're going to do some things, but you're hopefully going to put me in touch with people that you don't have to be on air with me all the time unless you want to be. Jessica, I'd love to have her on the show to bring some sort of, class to the show. Nothing personal, Crowley. nothing personal.
Ouch.
Or Steve or Jack, but
Ouch.
Jessica, and I know Jessica,
Mhm.
your wife, co-owner of Pinnacle, she's just an adorable person to hang out with, and I love talking to her, and I don't want to put her in any pressure pot at all, but she's value, and I want to do this with value. So thanks for being here tonight, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being patient with me, guys, and let's get this back on track. Let's get back on the road, and let's start getting the things done that we need to do to help people. Okay?
Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
My pleasure, and we'll be in touch, and we'll talk to you soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.